You're listening to the Ringer NBA show presented by FanDuel. America's #1 sportsbook has made it easier than ever to get in on the action during an NBA playoff game, even after tip-off. Just look for the live SGP tab on the FanDuel Sportsbook app and build your bet slip. Then sit back, relax, and track the outcome of your parlay right in the app. And if you don't already have it, download the FanDuel app today to make every moment more. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
What's poppin'? Real ones. Logan, Murdock here. Raja Bell there. Howard Beck in the motherfucking cut. It is Friday vibes. How are you guys doing? How's life? Raja, you were in Miami this morning. You were in the city, dude. What's going on?
Good. Yeah, this was.
This is like anti-washed Raja. Like you were in the city, and you were out of your element, out of your bag. What the fuck?
Yeah, well, it's the things you do for kids. I would not be down there if it was like because of something I had to do, but my kids had something to do, man. They went down. There's a jewelry shop called GLD. Like, shout out to GLD. Like, they're like really hot right now, and so they invited the boys down to hang out and do some stuff. So I chaperoned and drove down to Miami, down to their warehouse, and we hung out with them for a little while. So, needless to say, the traffic is a little thicker than you would normally think. So when I got out of there, it took me a minute to get home.
Howard, is Miami like an underrated traffic city in terms of like, you know, we get the LAs, we get the New Yorks of traffic. I feel like Miami doesn't get its just due when it comes to like.
Here's the thing though with Miami, at least for our purposes, NBA purposes, airport to downtown where the arena is, even if there's traffic, it's not that far.
Yeah.
Hotel to arena might be a mile, might be brutal, but at least it's not that far. Like you can get to stuff because nothing's that far. Going from like downtown or the Biscayne Bay area, like over the causeways to get to Miami Beach, South Beach, whatever, like that can be brutal. But no, it wouldn't be in my top 5 of like traffic cities. Like Houston's like a freaking nightmare.
Houston's a nightmare.
Like I hate driving in Houston.
What else you got? I'm fascinated. You got LA, Houston, New York.
Chicago.
Chicago's. But who would
Atlanta,
we don't get 5?
Obviously.
Atlanta. Oh, Atlanta is terrible.
Atlanta's bad. Boston's really bad.
Yeah.
Like I've driven in all these places. Like there's a lot of these places now you don't have to anymore, right? Like when I was a beat writer and you're just renting cars everywhere. And there were certain cities that were definitely like your taxi cities instead.
Right.
But this is all before the age of like Uber and Lyft. Now it's just like I don't have to fuck with it. I could just like get in somebody else's car. But I've driven all these places, so you also get a sense of like where the really bad drivers are. Miami drivers.
Yeah, that we do make a top 5 listed.
Yo, LA drivers are terrible too. LA drivers are up there as well. I hate driving in LA. What?
Yeah, LA's brutal.
No, I don't. I'm driving LA, so I don't know.
Listen, man.
Yeah, dog. You would know. That's way far away from your. That's way far from your port view.
My wife grew up in Southern California, and every time we go back, and we're back at least once a year, and we've been in New York for 21 years now. Every time we're back, there's some moment when we're stuck on the 405 or the 110, and my wife's just like, "This is why we can never come back. This is why we're never." Like, I just don't want to be sitting in like 5-lane wall-to-wall traffic on a scorching day for an hour and a half, not even knowing what the hell's going on up ahead.
Just think about LA is just like everybody's in a rush to do something, so like they're just cutting you off. And when it's not traffic, they're trying to drive extra fast so they can make up the time, and it can be brutal. I don't like driving.
You're just raising levels of anxiety for me the more you talk about it.
You're never going to go back to Miami again in the morning. You're never going to do it again.
I hate it. But like, so we're weird. Howard had a good point because most people come here and they say they're going to Miami and they're not staying on either South Beach, Brickell, or like somewhere down there. And if you're not there, then it's a very different Miami than you would see when they say we're playing in Miami generally, right? And like even Dolphin Stadium or whatever it's called now is 45 minutes up the road. The traffic is ridiculous.
It was like Lone Shark Stadium, whatever the hell they call it.
Lone Shark. It's Hard Rock. My bad. It's Hard Rock. I should know
it's
that.
Hard Rock. It's Hard Rock. Oh man, great. We're gonna get to basketball at a certain point, guys. Just bear with us. But that one big hotel out there in Aventura is really nice with the golf. Turnberry, yes, Turnberry is really nice. Yeah, it's really, really nice. That's where the Bulls used to stay, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, enough about that. Let's get to the shits. We will talk about Raj's disappointment in the Minnesota Timberwolves in a second. But first, I want to talk about the Knicks and their win over the Pacers in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I just want to say, so I don't want to get too much into this, but the other day when the Knicks lost in Game 4, it looked, pretty bleak. And, I went into the chat with me, Raja, Howard, and Ben. And I just said, it was a good run late, guys. It was a good run. And, usually Ben, kind of just responds in our chat. And, he'll say something funny. And then the only person that responded was Howard trying to save face, saying, no, not over yet, Logan. Save the eulogies, right?
No. Not just eulogies. You Googlies, because that was from Zoolander.
That's fantastic.
Oh,
well played, Howard.
Okay. All right. Well played.
That was intentional. You didn't notice the spelling? You don't think I can spell eulogy, Logan? Come on.
I don't know. Anyway,
you think I was drunk texting you guys?
Perhaps.
Possible.
But so Ben doesn't respond, and then I go on TNT and I see a big him. They put him on the screen, and it's him putting up 7, right? And I know it probably wasn't a sub, but it felt like a sub because he didn't text us back in the chat, and I felt like, damn, maybe I should have, I probably disappointed the homie, and probably and the Knicks kind of served through, right? And they said no, no Tanya Gangulis. What is it?
You're Googly.
You're Googlies.
You dragging Tanya into this.
What is there will be no Gangulis or eulogies and Googles and all this shit, right? And here we are going into Game 6. Roger, this was an up and down game. It felt like the Pacers couldn't get to their offense. And there were a lot of times, especially in the third quarter, where the Knicks, it felt like they were going to let it go, especially early in the fourth quarter, and Jalen Brunson just took them home. Yep. What did you see from the Knicks in this game? What can the Pacers do to close this out in Game 6? And will there be a Game 7? A lot of questions for you. You know how I do.
Jesus, that is a lot.
I hope you wrote those all down and answer them in order, Raja.
Yes. Let's try to go backwards. Let's go backwards. Will it go to a Game 7? Maybe. But this is where I've been on this series the whole time. I've been very non-committal because of, quite frankly, the way it's played out. This is a hard one to really figure out. There's a lot going on there. I think in my heart of hearts that the Pacers will close them out in Game 6 at home. They are rarely, I think they've been held under 100.7 times this season. Twice have been in this series. Pascal Siakam was bad. Well, not bad. He just didn't play. Hallie wasn't great. I mean, these are they had 20 some turnovers. These are anomalies. Statistically, you can look them up. This was his worst playoff game, Patrick Siakam. It was their worst turnover game. These are things. Jalen Brunson was fantastic. These are things. It's been his best game in the series, probably. There are a lot of reasons why I could say going home, I think the Pacers would win a Game 6. Having said that, I thought the Knicks did a really good job of doing the things that you need to do to the Pacers to keep them in the wheelhouse of a score range. And we went through that last time. 110 and below is a green light for the Knicks, right? That's green zone. We think we win this game. And they did a great job of doing that. There were a lot of things that they did. Tibbs staggered minutes. So he didn't have the defensive, the two defensive pieces on the floor that are at times liabilities for him. It allowed both of them to kind of cook independently where they weren't stepping on each other. The Knicks made a concerted effort to not give Hallie a head of steam coming up the court and getting into offense immediately with that pace, making him work just to bring it up. Hallie didn't rebound well, which really is the igniter of their break, because when he's got 10 boards or so, you can't really pick him up and turn him, and there's no outlet pass needed. So before you know it as a defense, he's on top of you and they're into their offense. They navigated all those ghost screens that the Pacers like to play with. They ghost a lot of screens. The Knicks navigated that beautifully last night. The Pacers don't have a ton of dudes who can go get a bucket.
Yeah.
They don't. Like, Hallie is not a great bucket. Like, he's a great player, but he's not a great, like, here you are on an island, me and you're going to just beat me over and over again. That's not like his secret sauce. Siakam can do it a little bit. They don't have anyone else who can do it consistently. Nembhard can do it a little bit, but not enough to beat you. So when you can get them slowed down, make them play in the half court, don't give them those opportunistic like ghost slips where someone's wide open to the degree that you had through at least most of the series, you're going to have a good chance. And then you're going to need your players. You're going to need your Cat and your Jalen Brunson to do what they're supposed to do. And I thought Jalen was phenomenal, not just in the it's specific to the start of the game. Now, he was great throughout, but man, you know, this is what when we talk about the Wolves, you know, this is what you do if you're a superstar in that situation. This is what the fuck you do. You say, all right, we're at home, backs against the wall, watch me. And
get on my back.
No, he did it.
What did you think of the pace, Raja? Like, this is something that has been the story of the series, where the team that dictates the pace dictates the win. And it seems like that last night when I was watching, the Knicks had it at their pace. And I think when Cat got in a little bit of foul trouble, the Pacers were able to try to get back in the game. I think got it within 10, and it was like, oh shit. And, Howard can kind of speak to the vibe in the Garden and the nervousness, but it felt like, oh shit, the Pacers are about to find their way. How do the Knicks continue to dictate pace in Game 6 in a road environment like that? And, when we say it seems like more easier said than done. Can you explain also how hard that is to do on a closeout game when you're on the road?
To control pace in and of itself is a difficult thing. It's even more difficult, and I've said this, a lot on the pod. It's even more difficult when the team that you're trying to control the pace against wants to run, because it's much easier to fall into running with someone than it is to fall into grinding it out. Everyone wants to run. So if you see the layup and you're the team that doesn't want to run, who's turning down layups and wide open jumpers? It's easy to entice someone into running with you. So it becomes really important for the Knicks to kind of do what they did, which is, Cat having the advantage just about against anybody who tries to guard him, too big and too physical for Siakam at times, and too deft, too adequate on the perimeter at times and able to stretch Miles. He becomes someone that you want to work through, because that works your shot clock down, right? That's longer that they have to guard you. That is slowing the game down. Selectively running and selectively shooting threes becomes a part of it too. Attacking the rim slows the pace down. Because you're going to shoot a higher percentage in there, and so they've got to take it out of the net, right? Or you're going to get fouled, and now the game has stopped and it's slowed down. So all of those things, when it goes through the net, I thought they were great last night about picking Hallie up at the baseline or underneath the free throw line, if you will. Very rarely was he able to catch it on a run at the hash and push it up the court in 3 seconds. He was getting up the court on makes, 6-7 seconds, because, they were picking him up and just making him turn a few times, which is a big deal as it relates to trying to control the pace and the tempo of the game. And so I thought they did a very good job. They were in attack mode on top of the rim. That's going to put the ball through the hole. It's going to allow me to set up my defense. I can pick him up and he can't run it up the court. And then attacking the offensive glass. Yeah. Teams can run when you can't when they can control the defensive boards, everybody turns and burns. They're out. But if they can't control their defensive board, they can't leave. They got to stay anchored to the paint and try to box the fuck out. which stops them from running out. And I thought the Knicks did a really, really good job.
One of the other things, though, Howard, that was the big point of the game is just the partnership between Jalen Brunson and that's growing with Cat now, right? I forgot the stat on Turner last night, but it was a stat. I think it was like 30 points. I forget the stat, but the duo was as good in this stat as Shaq and Kobe and Elgin Baylor. I forget the stat. It was something to do with points and assists. Real ones, help me out in the comments if we fuck up. But all that to say how special they have been throughout this postseason. Do we need to put more respect on their name in terms of them as a duo? And what is this postseason telling us about them as a duo as the games go on?
It's interesting because it's funny. Not until you actually asked the question that way, Logan, did it actually hit me that I still don't actually think of them as a duo. Like, they obviously are. They wear the same uniform, they play for the same team, and they're really important, like, complementary stars, right? And when they swapped out Randall for Karl-Anthony Towns, the idea was to upgrade to get Brunson a little bit more help, somebody else who has like some serious scoring punch. But I don't mean that as a slight that I didn't think of them as a duo. It's because I think of them so distinctly still, maybe because they've only been together one season. Maybe because it doesn't seem always as seamless or as much as it's like those two depending on each other in the same way that, I don't know, like, some great duos, like Curry and Clay, possibly because they came in almost together, always just seemed like you can't think of one without the other, right? Curry and Draymond is that way. LeBron's had various partnerships where it seemed like okay, like you could just see
also,
how these guys.
Curry and Durant too, Howard.
Yeah, no, for sure, Curry and Durant. Although that was a little bit different wrinkle in the whole thing. But Brunson is so well established at this stage in his Knicks tenure as a guy who, at any given time, is going to put the team on his back. He's going to find ways to get this possible fadeaway, 13, 14 footers. Going to get in the teeth of your defense. He's going to get you off balance. Like, there's so much that he does on his own. I often don't really think of it as being like a Brunson Towns thing. In Towns, it's a different thing. Our perceptions and image of Towns throughout his time in Minnesota, the thing you wondered when he came to New York was, are we going to see a different version of him? What's the next stage for him? What does it mean to be in a different environment? And it's still the same Towns. He still makes like stupid fouls and then complains about them constantly, though it was obvious as hell that it was a freaking foul. Like, what are you even complaining about, dude? And so I'm thinking of them distinctly because they both very much still are who they were before they became teammates and pick and roll partners, right? And I do think that there is like a good synergy there. But I still feel like it's mostly like Towns is going to do his thing the way he's always done it. Brunson's going to do it the way he's always done it. And the Knicks are still more of an ensemble that revolves around Jalen Brunson. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Roger, am I wrong on any part of that?
No, I definitely see them as an ensemble cast. I don't see that as I don't see that as a 1-2 like that. Why? I mean, it's a great question, but I would agree with you on that, Howard.
Like Valentine's Day. Instead of like, I don't know, Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts is just part of like an overall group of people versus in Pretty Woman, it's her and Richard Gere, right?
Oh.
Is that what you're saying?
Oh, well done.
Yeah. No one's locked, bro. No one's locked in. No one's following me here. Okay, I just walked off, looked back. Nobody even got.
You lost me at Valentine's Day. Was that a movie that I missed?
That was a great movie. It's my favorite Valentine's Day movie. It's an ensemble. If you know, It has Jessica Biel. It has Jamie Foxx. It has who else? Has a young Taylor Swift in there. Like it's really good. 2010.
You
missed that entirely.
No one running with you on that fast break, bro.
No one. I ran back. I went to run. I was going to throw you the lob off the glass, Raja, and I looked back, and you were like,
"Pull the hand."
All right.
Yeah, we were mailing it in. We were waiting to go back to our home court.
Yeah, Raja was on the other end doing Mike and drills, talking about this is bullshit. Oh man,
time is money, bro. Come on.
Oh goodness, yes. What do Just the last thing to put a pin on this, because we're just loopy at this time of day. It's Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Roger, what do both teams need to do in Game 6 to win? Like, what do the Pacers need to do, and then what do the Knicks need to do about it?
Yeah. Okay. Let's Knicks continue to attack aggressively the paint. Don't fall in love with the 3-ball, even if we're making them. Will allow you to control the tempo, get into the bonus. Don't turn the ball over. That's the one thing I wanted to add to the question you had asked me before. Teams like OKC and Indiana that want to get out and go and can produce really quickly and rapidly are fueled by live ball turnovers. They're out, and those leads can expand on you very, very quickly. And the only way then you can get that lead back is to do what with them? Run. Right? Because you need more possessions. This is a recipe for disaster. So take care of the ball if you're the Knicks. I do love Tibbs seems to want to stay with his bench. I like it. I like the minutes that they're getting from people on the bench, and I know that's not like
Shamet was great down the stretch. Sneaky great down the stretch.
Yeah, look.
What?
What
year is this, Howard?
Did not see that coming.
Was it 2019?
No. and that's what you're gonna have to do. And then I would imagine, I say this a lot, it's corny, but it usually rings true. You're gonna probably have to weather a punch early. You're gonna have to weather the punch that is the flurry of made shots that the Pacers more than likely are gonna come out with, and then the avalanche of the crowd on top of that. And if you can stay kind of together, like, in the bunker, heads down, and stay within striking distance, then you just go methodically about what you have to do to win the game. From the Pacers' perspective, it would be, I know I said Hallie isn't a bucket, and I mean this. I mean it. Like I don't think it's necessarily up for debate. He is not a great scoring one-on-one creative. He does some cool shit, but he's more of a straw that stirs the drink, get everybody going, electric.
He's magic.
Yeah.
Ish.
So,
yeah.
But for that team, he has to point produce, specifically in the games, and especially in the games where you can't get up and down to the tune of 125 points. When that's happening, by the sheer number of points scored, it suggests that everyone is cooking. We've got a lot of people involved. Everyone's making baskets. You're going to win those anyway. The ones we need you to be scoring in are the ones like last night, where whether that's a game planned thing by Carlisle or if that's just a mindset by Hallie, he needs to be on to some degree what Brunson was on last night. Maybe not in the same way, but I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to be on top of the rim. I'm going to be creating, whether it's for me or for someone else. Siakam's got to do what he's got to do. And this is silly, but they've got to go. You got to defend. You conversely have to turn them over. You got to get those live ball passing lane steals, which turn into 2. Then they come down and shoot the 3. And now we came back and it was a 5-point swing in the matter of 37 seconds. That's how they play.
Yeah. I'm not going to ask Howard this because he's probably going to just go off the Zoom if I ask this question. Who's winning game 6, Roger? Let's get a prediction in.
That's so tough. I don't know. I really don't know, and I don't mean to be.
Well, you're doing the ads today, so you have to do a pickup at some point. You're doing the FanDuel ad today, so
yeah. I think the Pacers win Game 6 at home. I think.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I think the pace gets them. There were too many things that were not. There were too many things in last night's game that haven't happened regularly in this postseason. For me,
it was very much an anomaly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're all going to happen again in the next game. Maybe they do, but I would, if you make me pick, I'd take the Pacers.
Yeah, I mean, Halliburton
had what, you want to go down Projection Street, Howard? Is that what you want to do? You want to go down? You want to figure this out? You want to join us?
No.
Okay.
What were you going to say though, Howard?
I was going to agree with Roger that Halliburton 8 points on 7 shots, 7 points on 8 shots, whatever it was. He's not going to have a game like that again, especially not at home. And this team, like a lot of youngish teams, I think, not only thrive more at home, but thrive on just energy and when they're at their pace, when they're taking the ball out, whether it's taking the ball out of the basket or rebound, and they're running either way, and they're energized, and they're ramming it down your throats and hit and pull up threes in transition. That's what we see when they play at their best. That's certainly what we see when they play at home. I had said Knicks in 7 in this series. I was really tempted before I said Knicks in 7 a week and a half or whatever ago. I was really tempted to say Pacers in 6. Obviously, we're down to those two outcomes. So either my stated prediction or my impulse that I tamped down, one or the other. I'm with Raj. I kind of expect the Pacers now to close it out at home. I do. And that's no disrespect to the Knicks. It's just the way this series has unfolded. But I also absolutely thought the Knicks were going to win last night. I did not think that team, as tough as they are, were going to go down at home without a fight.
Yep.
So I'm as curious as anyone to see how this plays out tomorrow. Like, it's been a really great series. Last night was not the best game in the series in terms of just like it was, never in doubt, really. Although in this series, you never know. Someone's going to wipe out a 20-point lead with the blink of an eye. But it's been so tight. Like, it's going to go down to the wire tomorrow, whichever way it goes.
Sneaky indicator to watch for. I think this is going to be true. I haven't done the legwork to figure out if Halliburton is clearing defensive rebounds. If he's like, he almost triple doubled in game. What was that, 4? If he's all over the defensive glass, I mean, it suggests two things. With their missing shots, the Knicks, but what it does is it ignites the pace. Yeah. So if he's all over the defensive glass, I think the pace is up, and that's not going to be good for the Knicks.
I'm curious too. Like, do we see do Stiller and Chalamet make the trek back to Indianapolis, considering how rudely Pat McAfee treated them the other day?
Yeah, that was
man. Pull up, bro. But pull up, bro. That's if you about your New York shit and you about to stick your chest out, go pull the fuck up to Indiana.
No, they should.
Spike gonna do it with that fucking funny ass suit he had on. What's Spike gonna wear, Roger? What's Spike gonna wear in Game 6? What's your Spike style prediction, bro?
I don't know. I get down with Spike, but I don't know.
He had the zoo suit on, bro.
But did you guys see? So McAfee says, like, let's send these sons of bitches home, whatever, referring to like Stiller, Chalamet, Spike, whoever else had shown up from New York. And so Stiller goes on social media, basically challenges Pat McAfee or whatever, invited him kindly invited him to come see the game at the Garden, which Pat McAfee declined, saying, no, it was going to cost me $70,000 for a ticket, and I don't need that grief for that price or whatever. So, like, Pat McAfee ducked the smoke.
Uh-oh.
Our guy Stiller was threw out the red carpet.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know. I want to see what happens from here. Although a nice gesture from John Mellencamp going on social media on behalf of the nicer part of Indiana, saying that's not how we roll. That was uncool. Pat McAfee, basically like shut your trap.
Yeah, Pat McAfee thought he was like at a WWE event, bro.
Seriously.
It was really, I thought it was, I mean, I honestly, like, I know this isn't, but I thought like that was I thought Ben and Chalamet and them were in on it. I was like, there's no way he's up here acting like that.
I don't think so. Yeah. I do not think that was a bit.
Yeah, well.
Was that a big bank take little bank? He was like, yo, man, I ain't got the bread.
Well, I'll tell you like this. I think
he got the bread. Stop.
Last pot I offered to be Paul George's proxy, like if you needed it. Not that you would need it, Pat McAfee, but I could be his too. So Ben, I mean, if you want to give me a seat to come sit and watch a game in the Garden with you, hey, listen, I got you.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you was about to switch sides, Roger. I didn't know what you were doing.
No.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that either.
I didn't know where you were going. I was like, are you going against the homie, bro? Or are you going against
to the fucking Garden?
You gonna wear your Knicks shit or your Pacers shit, bro? What you gonna rock? What you gonna do?
Black t-shirt, jeans.
Tim's or Black Forces? No. Black. Yeah. Black Jordan 1 lows. That's what I was gonna go with. Okay. All right. You know the fucking vibe. All right. We just made Roger very, very happy in the first segment. Let's just, let's piss him off.
FanDuel is letting you get in on all the NBA playoff action right from first tip, because right now, all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay every weekend when you bet the NBA playoffs. That's right. Just use your token on 3+ leg same-game parlays or same-game parlay plus on any NBA playoff game, and you'll get bonus bets back if you don't win. So I'm going to take in tomorrow night's game the Pacers to win. I'm going to take Jalen Brunson on the over, and I think I'm going to take Pascal Siakam on the over points as well. And I love betting on FanDuel with their great promotions every day, safe and secure app, and instant payments. There's no better place to bet on all playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/RingerNBA and get a no-sweat, same-game parlay every weekend of the NBA playoffs. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Let's talk a little about Anthony Edwards. Let's go back to the group chat. Let's go back to the Real Ones group chat. I'm looking right here.
I got to start watching what I say in these texts, knowing that you're now going to like blast it on the show. Every time,
bro. This cat.
I'm not gonna.
Dicey.
This is not that big of a deal, bro. This is not like anything incriminating. Okay, relax. I would never do that. Come on. Anyway, let me get my snitch on. So Wednesday at 5:53 p.m. Mind you, I wasn't even watching the game at this point, right? Like it was the first quarter. I'm like, I'm going to get to the game, right? The first text that I get is, "These mofos look like they're about to quit already." Talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves. He says
That was 5 minutes in.
That was 5 minutes in, right? So
yeah.
That was 5 minutes in, and he's like, "I'm like 3 minutes behind, but these dudes have some terrible body language, right?" And then I'm like, "Okay, maybe I just put on the game right now. Let me go upstairs, put on the game." It's 26-9.
No.
What the hell was going on, Raja?
Dude.
What were your feelings? And like, what the fuck is up with the Minnesota Timberwolves, dude?
I don't know, man. I don't know how I felt. I was disappointed. I was sad. I got a little angry at them. I ran the gamut of emotions. I really did, because that first text that I sent, I don't even know that it was 5 minutes into the game. And it wasn't definitive, right? Like I was looking something thinking that I saw what I saw, but I shot that text because I was like, man, this could
Am I the only one thinking this shit? Am I the only one here?
So I shot it out, a little feeler text. 2 to 3 minutes later, I don't know how long I sent you that next one. Oh, I was sure that I was looking at what I thought I was looking at. And it suggested that they did not want to play. Their hearts had been taken. The game before that in Minnesota. They had, this was, we're going to get dressed. We're going to come out here. We got to do the job because we get paid to do it. But at the first sign of adversity, we will show the world, and especially the Oklahoma City Thunder, that we are not here for the shits, and they were not there for them. And this started to manifest itself in, like, I think the first time I saw it was a pick and roll with Julius Randle, top of the key. They didn't let him get left, so he had to come back to his right. Alex Caruso shot like right underneath him and stole the ball, went down and laid it up. He didn't even run back. He looked utterly disgusted and just stood there while the play was going the other way. Then Naz Reid, these were the two things that prompted the text. Naz Reid had it on the post, and something happened and he got stripped, and he was exasperated. He had a look of just pure befuddlement and frustration. Yeah. And then I saw Ant on the bench rolling his eyes, looking like, I said, "Oh, this shit is a wrap. Like, these dudes this is over. It's over."
Yeah. Go ahead, Howard.
No, thanks. So, while you guys are sending, or Roger's sending his disappointed dad texts about the Timberwolves,
my boys are fucking suck right now. Come on.
I had opted out of watching the game that night because our buddy Michael Lee was in town. Michael and I had gotten to have dinner in a long time together, hang out, shoot the shit, catch up. So we had decided, you know what? Michael put down his phone on the side, like with the game on, and Raj's text comes in. I'm like, oh man, what the hell's going on? And I look down, and it was like, yeah, 26-9. I'm like, all right, we made the right decision here. Ramen over watching the Timberwolves get smoked. But what hit me immediately was, and trying to pay attention, trying to catch up with it later, a team that's as talented as the Timberwolves are, and they are, and they were one of the best teams in the NBA for the last couple months of the season. We saw them play really, just very, I thought, cohesive, strong basketball through the first couple rounds of the playoffs. Julius Randle looked better than he's ever looked in a postseason. Raja, when a team is coming apart like that, especially in the opening minutes of a closeout game, my radar always goes off, because usually what this means is it's not a talent problem. Yeah, the Thunder were the more talented team. We knew that coming in. But when you fold like that, like my radar just goes off on like something else is amiss here. There's a chemistry problem. Some of these guys maybe just don't like each other, and the cracks don't show until you're really up against it. And maybe I'm wrong. Like the spidey senses aren't always entirely on point, but like that was where my brain immediately went was like something's messed up here.
So you just gave me the chills there, Howard. Real talk. That's why I hit him with the ooh.
We're all locked in.
No, real talk, because there were points in that series where, again, I wouldn't come out and necessarily be accusatory, but like,
and I'm not.
No, I know you're not. I know you're not. But now that's someone else that said it, so it allows me to kind of reflect on what I was thinking. Where I would look at possessions with Julius Randle, like trying to get a post, right? And having his man buried, and people like say, no, we're not throwing you that ball. And watch his body language as he now had to get out of the paint because they didn't award him with the mismatch or the deep position. And what I perceived as frustration on his face. But again, to your point, things were going good. Like I was like, maybe that's not what I think it is. I saw multiple times in this series where my spidey senses went off, and I just kind of buried them because I was like, nah, I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. There's probably nothing there. But to your point, when that fractures like that, and I mean it fractured, it came apart at the seams. That's deep because we don't have a collective fight about us. I'm not going to get into like whether we don't like, I don't know. But it certainly means that we don't have a collective will to fight for this. And that's concerning.
It's the kind of thing where I wonder where days or weeks from now, there's going to be the deep dive 3,000 word piece that someone's going to do about how the Timberwolves fractured or something. We're going to hear all
the
this
John Krasinski piece, John Krasinski piece in the Athletic. That's what we're going to get. Raja, we don't know if that's the case or not, but if that is the case, or just generally a general question, there are a lot of teams that have been successful that don't necessarily like each other, and like that have Howard's covered one of them. But they still have executed when the time is right. What is the difference between a team that doesn't like each other that executes and a team that doesn't like each other that may or may not have come out in game 5, right, to close out a series and break apart?
I don't really know, Logan. I'm trying to think if I was really on any dysfunctional teams, like even the teams I was on that weren't as good as other teams I was on, they weren't dysfunctional. We, for the most part, liked each other. There weren't a lot of personality, true beefs in the locker room. So I guess what I would speculate is the difference is just professionalism, overall maturity and professionalism, quite frankly, because to your point, it's happened, but dudes understand this is our job, and so while we might not like each other off the court and we might not be at each other's houses for meals and stuff like that, our legacies, at least for right now, in this window of time, are linked. And it behooves all of us to get out there and work this shit out, at least on the court. And if you can't do that, it speaks to just a lack of probably overall maturity and professionalism. I'm not accusing them of having that issue, but you're asking me what would the difference be between a team who could and couldn't? That would more than likely, in my opinion, be the difference.
Yeah, bro. Also, dog, why fly all the way out to Oklahoma City to just lay an egg, bro? You know what I mean?
You know what's crazy about that? Who was on the broadcast? Was that
it was ABC.
Stan? Was it Stan? No.
It was ABC. This was Mike ESPN. Breen, Doris, and
Richard Jefferson.
So maybe it was Doris or maybe it was Breen. They were saying that they had been out to dinner the night before as I listened to the broadcast, right? So, I heard that and I was immediately like, okay, we're good. We're gonna lock in and have a level of fight to us. At least it will appear that we care about this. And it was one of the rare instances, because usually in the playoffs, this isn't a team meeting. I talked about the team meeting where everything is just 100% dysfunctional, and you've got to have that early in the season, one third of the way through the season team meeting. A lot of times you come out of those and shit's worse or just as bad, right? But in the playoffs, we're this deep. We've galvanized in a way to get to this point. Typically, when you have that meeting the night before, that meal together, at minimum, we come out and fight our asses off. We might not be great. We might not have the secret sauce that night, But
The reality
man,
is
we're gonna be
OKC
here.
is the better team. That's just the reality here, right?
That is the
Doesn't mean you don't
reality.
fight, yeah.
But we'll all be pulling the rope in the same direction, and they just weren't doing that.
Where do they go from here, Howard? There's a lot of key guys that are up for could be up for contracts, right? I think Nasri has a player option and is extension eligible. He's making that player option is like $15 million, so he's definitely not going to pick that up. And then you have a player option with Julius Randle, and then Nickeil Alexander-Walker is trying to get paid because he has an extension eligible as well. This is the new apron era. Not all those guys are going to stay on the team. What kind of offseason are they looking at, and what do they need for this roster, right? Because this was a roster that was very unproven to start the year after the trade for Julius Randle, and then they kind of galvanized at the end of the season after the All-Star break. But it still seems like they couldn't get to. They're not at OKC's gear. How do they regroup into this offseason?
I mean, the tough part of this is the Thunder angle, right? Because every team in the West has to now ask themselves the question of not just how do we get better, but if we think of ourselves as contenders, how do we beat that team specifically? And that's going to be really tough for all of them, whether you're Denver, whether you're the Lakers, whether you're whoever, Timberwolves, anybody in the Western Conference trying to get through the Thunder, like, good luck. But the Randall thing is the most fascinating place to start for me, because when they traded Towns for Randall, remember, this was mostly a financially driven move in the first place because of the second apron and the size of Towns' contract. So they break him up into two smaller contracts with Randall and DiVincenzo. And the second they got Randall, I thought, well, he's a tough fit. I've seen this before because I'm in New York, and there's high highs and low lows with Julius Randle. He's a very frustrating, polarizing player. And he can dominate the ball, and he can just stifle possessions. Is he really going to fit there? And then by the end of the season, and especially over the last couple of weeks before this series, it was like, oh, look, Julius Randle's moving the ball. Julius Randle's racking up assists. Julius Randle's like fitting in really well. He's like vibing with these guys. There's a really good rhythm going here. And in the back of my mind, I was still thinking, like, but what's he going to want contractually? Can they accommodate that, given that that's why they moved off of Towns? They've got to pay Naz Reid. Naz Reid's a fan favorite and a club favorite. He plays the same position. You can't pay Naz Reid and Randle and Gobert. Something's got to give.
And part of the thinking that they traded Cat was to give more opportunities to Naz Reid.
So I thought this would be a rental, right? I thought Randle was there as a stopgap until they eventually just paid Naz and he became the guy. But he didn't exactly decorate himself the last couple of weeks either. So now it's like, instead of like a embarrassment of riches, it's like an embarrassment of what the hell do we do now? So but I do think they got to pick one. I don't think you're bringing back both of those guys. You may lose Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's been incredibly important to them. And part of their strength has been having like all these great defensive rangy wings, and you may lose one. I don't know the answer to this. I just know that I'm fascinated by it. And then there's like also Anthony Edwards, what is he, 23? 24? And look, I'm not one who's going to say like, oh, they lost, let's all pile on Anthony Edwards. But like, there's still growth that needs to happen there. I think that's clear enough. Who's the right running mate? It wasn't Towns. It's certainly not Randle. And they need another guy who can handle the ball and initiate offense and get Anthony Edwards off the ball sometimes. And Mike Conley's 37. And they drafted Rob Dillingham, but he's not a point guard, really. And they're in a tough spot salary cap wise. So I don't know where they go from here exactly.
Who do you pick, Raja? If I'm giving you Julie within the confines of this offense of what you've seen in this team, Julius Randle, Naz Reid, or are you taking Nickeil Alexander-Walker? Like, what is your early?
I get one, or I get a combination of two.
You might get two. You're not getting all three.
Tougher than it seems probably at face value for a lot of people. At face value, I'd probably say Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, right? But the problem with that is, as you saw in the playoffs, Ant at times can't crack the code of put a team on my back. I got to carry you consistently, right? Like, for whatever reason. And I'm not saying he doesn't develop into that, but like he's he has struggled with that at times. And while it's not all the time that Randall can do it, and a lot of times it's feast or famine, he can do that sometimes. You're able to give him the ball on any given night. When it shows up, I don't know. And he'll get you 30-some and win a game for you.
Did that in these playoffs.
Right. And Nas does not do that. And Nickel doesn't do that. So it's actually tougher, I think, a question than when you say it sounds like. If there were a world where I could get Nas, Walker, and you gave me some other piece, to Howard's point, that could get Ant off the ball. And I mean, this is an expensive player. Get him off the ball and produce. That'd be perfect. I'd have no problem with it. I'd say those two in a heartbeat. But without that other player that can go get you buckets, I don't know that it's that easy. It's not a good answer, but I don't know.
I've toyed with them.
I think we're gonna see though, like a lot more movement in these types of situations, right? Like more like maybe signing trades during this time, right? Like if you have a guy that is on the end of his deal, like, hey, man, like to Roger's point, hey, can we get a guard to get somebody off ball? Can we get this? Can we use this as a chip too? There's going to be a lot more player movement when these types of situations arise, right?
I've toyed with the idea of these guys as a Durant team, right? Like if you really wanted to like say, you know what, like the time is now, we got to accelerate this thing. We don't know how many more good years of Gobert we're getting anyway, and we're all in on him, and we're out of these picks. Like, I don't know if they could even get Durant because, like, they don't have the picks to send Phoenix, but they've got pieces. But it's almost something like that, right? Where you need somebody else, and it would be a short-term thing because of Durant's age, but, like, somebody else has to come in and be able to do some things with the ball in his hands, and not in the Julius Randle way. And, you know, you're 3 years into the Gobert thing? It's still wonky at times. You know,
he was decent in these playoffs too, though. He wasn't in the closeout game, but he was decent.
Yeah. So it's hard to pivot now. This is the most difficult thing about the way the NBA is structured now, and the way the second apron era is. Once you're all locked in, it is hard to pivot because there's not enough room in the whole system, 30 team wide, to find a place to stash the bad contract or the expensive guy who no longer fits with what you're trying to do, to try to turn it into something else. And so, but I do think because free agency is basically dead in the NBA, we're just going to see a wild ass summer of trades and we're all going to be busy as hell.
Yes, that seems like what it's going to be. All right. Whew. All right. Let's get to, it's Tuesday. Howard's here. Let's get to a motherfucking mailbag. Cliff, what's going on, buddy?
It's Friday, bro. It's Friday.
I'm about to say, yo, you good? Yo, it's Friday,
I'm
bro.
I'm tired, bro. I'm so tired right now.
Friday.
I am
Friday.
so tired. I've been up since 5 a.m., bro. Like,
Shit.
Baby?
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all know the vibes. Raja already knows. He sees my face. He's like,
enjoy it.
Anyways, it's one of these days. It's just one. You know, life is just one long, continuous day, ladies and gentlemen. You know,
let me tell you like this.
With naps in between.
I'm sure Howard would agree with this. I'm gonna say it to you. They feel like they're never gonna end, and you get to a point where you're fried, and you convince yourself that, well, this is a beautiful thing, sucks, and all of that shit. Once you get towards the other end of it, man. I'm not saying I wish I could go back because I love these dudes at the age they're at now. Like, this is a cool experience in and of itself. But, man, I wish I appreciated that a little bit more when it was happening. Like, real talk.
We'll take that advice. I'm still very tired and don't know the dates,
amen.
But I'm going to take that advice.
Yeah.
Happy Saturday vibes to you, Cliff. Real ones. What's going on? How are we doing?
We chilling, man. We chilling. It's nice and sunny out in Philly today, man. You know what I mean? Might pop out later, so you never know.
We gonna pop out in Philly?
I mean, I'm gonna slide to the Phillies game and then I'm gonna see what's up. Well, you know, our coworker Shoka Padia. We're gonna link up on him and then we gonna have
It's summertime?
Yeah, summer in Philly, man.
Philly, boy.
Summer in Philly, man.
Listen, can I just do a little?
Let's get in the bag.
I used to go to Philly in the summertime, right? Because my uncle lived out there in Overbrook, and I would go up and hang out with it like for a week before I would go up to Carapolis, PA, to 5 Star up in the Pittsburgh area, and that was like the plateau at the time, like
the Platte.
Yeah, I used to be. Hey, man, you couldn't tell me shit going on with Uncle Chuck. You couldn't tell a 16-year-old.
Oh,
shit.
man. That's
Howard,
funny
I don't
back
know
in the
if
day.
this is a relatively new thing, but like towards the end of the pod, and even sometimes beginning, Cliff and Roger just get into their Philly bag, and it's just let them cook.
Oh,
Just let them cook.
Cliff,
Oh,
listen,
man.
black sob,
Yeah.
windows down.
Yup.
Ooh.
Yo, bro, what?
Yep. And then the plaid, you know how the plaid got the windy roads in the back way and then it's all park?
Man,
It's crazy, man.
love.
That's a good time right there.
It is. Philly in the summer is nice.
You might have to hit the
Late
Platte
summer.
this weekend, bro. Go hit the Platte
Nah,
this
it
weekend.
ain't. The plaid ain't what it used to be.
It's
Bro.
nice.
It's too many young bulls over there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. We're not doing that no more.
Yeah. All right, cool. You're not a young bull no more. Neither is Roger. You're gonna kick your ass off the Platte.
All right, this first one is from Robert Dean. What up, Beck? Good morning. Howard, ask to send this via email on The Good Place. Here we are. The Good Place being Blue Sky. Follow Howard on Blue Sky. What should we expect out of the year 2-3 guys today like Chet, J-Dub versus an eras prior? Is the new normal for preparedness and production? And as they get paid, should teams be rewarded with salary cap benefits versus the current penalty structure, i.e. retaining talent counts less against the cap? This should especially apply to players on the team that drafted them and Supermax players.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, the NBA, it's funny because they've got all these competing interests, right, when they're trying to deal with this stuff, right? Like, the whole reason we have a Larry Bird exception, the Bird rule, the Bird exception, how people refer to it, right, is because when they created the salary cap back in the 80s, they were like, oh, well, what if this would mean that the Celtics can't keep Larry Bird because they've already hit the salary cap? Oh, I know. Let's create a Larry Bird exception. And we call it the Bird exception to this day. The whole point was to promote continuity, to reward teams that drafted and developed great players by letting them exceed the cap and pay more, longer contracts, bigger raises than anybody else could offer because they were trying to promote continuity. And what's happened now in the last 10, 15 years is we promoted too much continuity. Really good teams that are drafting well and getting a bunch of stars or combining their own stars with then trading for stars, they're too good. And they're spending way too much money. And they're spending hundreds of millions more than other teams are. I'm talking about like the Warriors and the Clippers. We got to tamp it all down. So now we've got a system where you're forced to just keep letting talent go. And this is why we have the era of parity. This is why we're going to have a 7th champion in 7 years, because the system is so tight now and the cap is so close to a hard cap that you can't keep everybody. But to the listener's question, sorry, what was the name again?
Robert Dean.
Robert.
Dean.
So to Robert's question, like, yeah, I think everybody, and certainly if you asked any GM in the league, if you asked any fans in the league that are rooting for a good team, especially when like Oklahoma that did such an incredible job of drafting its own talent, yeah, they should have all the tools in the world to keep their guys and have those somehow be freed of luxury tax penalties and apron penalties. But if you do that, it goes against what the NBA's current goal is, their current mission is, which is, no, we want talent distributed across the league. And if you guys drafted 5 guys who all become all-stars, sorry, you can't pay them all the max. You're going to have to part with some of them, and they're going to go to another team so that another team can be good also. It kind of sucks in a way, but it also promotes the parity that, depending on the person who's talking, like, we enjoy, right? Like, this is what's been interesting about this era. And you don't have super teams. You don't have dynasties. I know people are already prematurely crowning Oklahoma as a potential dynasty. They haven't even won the first one yet. We need to slow down. But anyway, yeah, there's just a lot of conflicting priorities there. I hope Thunder can keep the guys that they drafted and developed together as long as possible, but it's probably not going to be possible.
All right, let's get into the second question. This is from John Plausch. Team building in the second apron world plus the Mavericks' first draft pick. All right, Howard, Raja, and Logan, thanks for all the content that makes my morning walks, runs, and long driving times more enjoyable. 2 questions for y'all. What is the best blueprint for team success in the second apron world? A, lower highs, higher lows. 1 or 2 very good players in the top 25 with 5 to 6 solid role players, a deeper team, i.e. the Pacers. Or B, highest highs and lowest lows. Max out 1 to 2 top players in the top 5 with 2 good role players and the rest marginal players, top level heavy talent like the Lakers. 2, what should the Mavericks do with their roster? Draft Flag and play him with the current roster? Maybe trade Washington for a replacement point guard to cover until Kyrie's back? B, draft Flag, trade away Davis and other win now players for top picks in this and the next draft. Move forward with Flag, Lively, Youth. Thanks again for all the great content, John.
That was longer than one of my questions, Roger.
Great question nonetheless, man. I like
It was a great question.
Those are both really good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to. I'm gonna answer it. I just like when I go to the next question, I might need you to like remind me of what the question was.
Sure.
This was so long.
I got you.
But I think though, like when you ask like what the best recipe is, it's less of like of the recipe in my mind and just being effective during the stages that you are in the recipe, right? Like if you're the Pacers, eventually you're going to have max guys on the team unless you trade them away, right? But in a perfect world in this apron, you want a deep team, you want one really good player, and try to win before it gets really, really expensive and you have to trade away guys on the roster, right? The Lakers are in a different situation because one, they constructed their roster in a different time, and two, like they just lucked up on a trade. So I would just say like try to win in in scenario A before you get to scenario B. But the best course of action is try to get to scenario A in this particular structure. Honestly, man, with the Dallas Mavericks, I think I am intrigued by that last option, right? Like it would, because of Kyrie's injury and because of the flux that it has put on the rest of the roster, like it's not going to be a championship roster with how it stands right now with Cooper Flag and Anthony Davis. Like Anthony Davis, he has been healthy over the last few years, but that's not a guarantee. And I think they have a ceiling with who they are with Anthony Davis as the lead dog. Like you've seen him be the lead dog, and his ceiling is what, like an 8 seed? We've seen what that was been in prime Anthony Davis when he's the lead guy. So I'm intrigued. I don't think they will do it necessarily, but like, you know, you try get off of Clay's contract because he wants to win now. You get off of Anthony Davis's contract if you can, and then build for a younger team around Cooper Flag. Also, the other thing about Cooper Flag is, you know, it still remains to be seen if he's a really great player, but everybody that I've talked to, it remains to be seen if he's going to be like the lead franchise type of guy that is going to be able to be that type of person and that personality to be able to do that. There's a lot of questions with the Mavs, but I would be intrigued the most about just going young and going through. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would like to.
I'm not. I don't know about the first one, but the Mavs. Look, Cooper Flag is not a build-around player, in my estimation. He is and that's going to sound crazy because I know he's about to be the first pick, and I'm not taking anything away from who he is as a player. I'd take him number 1, 2. But I've said before, I think especially, you know, in the first and second evolution of who he is as a player, he's going to need a lot of support. But he is an every box checking winning player. So maybe not this year because Kyrie's hurt. But if you're able to re-sign Kyrie, and I don't know what everybody's deal looks like, but if you told me I had a team with a healthy Kyrie, a healthy AD, you know, Lively, Klay Thompson, I'm sorry, the other pieces they have, and Cooper Flag in year 2, having had a year under his belt, I fucking like that.
Even how much they're aging at that point, because I don't know, Kyrie's going to be like what 35?
No, he's
35, right?
He's 33 right now.
I like that team.
Yeah, by the time he's back.
By the time
he's back. But you got to.
And then Klay, we all know Klay is like not even now is kind of like a bit of a shell of him. So like I don't know. I just don't know.
No, look, and you're right though. Like there's age on that, but like, and I'm not saying that's got a runway, but I like that team 2 years from now with the second year Cooper Flag and everything that he represents as a player. I like that.
2 things are coming into conflict here. One is that in the NBA, youth almost never wins. Even the best rookies don't win, don't influence winning at a high level as rookies, and it sometimes takes 2 or 3 years before they really do. And that was the case with rookies who came in at a lot higher level than Cooper Flag. LeBron did not have a winning record or make the playoffs as a rookie. And Cooper Flag is not LeBron. I don't think
Jordan did either.
And you can find it over and over and over again. So youth doesn't win. That's the first piece. The other one that is in complete, like, diametric conflict with this is that Nico Harrison, from the moment he made the Luka trade, said, we're all about winning right now. We have a window here with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving to win championships. And that thing went up in smoke when Kyrie went down with the ACL and AD was hurt immediately. And so now you've fallen into the number 1 pick in the draft. So is this about the future and Cooper Flagg, or is it about this imaginary window that Nico Harrison created to try to win championships with Kyrie and AD, which always seemed far-fetched to me anyway? That being the case, yeah, I think they're not going to, because they're fully invested in this and they don't want to pivot because then it's almost admitting you're wrong. Trade AD. Like, you can't trade Kyrie because he's got the ACL injury, but don't extend Kyrie at a high number, if at all. And trade Anthony Davis. Like, the Cooper Flagg is the future now. Whether he is a number 1 or a number 2 ultimately, and Raja, like, I'm with you. Like, I'm no talent expert. But people I talked to for a story I did a couple weeks ago, I found a variety of opinions on what Cooper Flagg's ultimate ceiling and position on a team will be with respect to, is he a true franchise number 1 who can carry you, deep in the playoffs on his own? Is he going to be a complimentary star? Like, what is he? Like, we'll see. But he is their future. And the 2 guys that they were building around, quote unquote, building around, are in their mid-30s and always hurt. Like, you got to pick a direction. We've already seen that the 2 timelines thing doesn't work. Golden State.
Well, what if they're bad next year? What if you're like, all right, we're waiting on Kyrie, like, like, we're gonna stagger your games, like, we'll protect you this year. We're bad again. You find yourself right back up to bat. Now you got 2. Now you got 2 theoretical, like, franchise pieces moving forward.
I got to check to see if they've got their pick. I can't recall because they've been at a lot of picks too. Raj, actually, there is one counterpoint to this that I've thought about in my own head. So to argue against what I just said, I wonder about this. Is there a case to be made that actually, you know what? They're not winning a championship the next couple of years. Screw it. Who cares? But what we really want is for Cooper Flagg to come in on day 1 and not have to feel like a franchise savior or what always comes with the number 1. Yeah, so you're nodding your head vigorously. Like, there's a case to just, even if you're not going to win at a high level, keep those guys as being able to bear the brunt of leadership and pressure and all that stuff while Cooper Flagg finds his way in the NBA. Yes?
That's what I said when they got the pick. Like, it's perfect for him. Like, don't fuck it up and throw all of the weight on his shoulders to be something that he's not ready to be as an 18-year-old.
Yeah. I see the merit to that. But I also think, like, clock's ticking on AD and his value.
That's fair.
So, and I think also in this new apron era, bro, you got to make decisions really fast. Like, you have to, if something happens, you have to be able to pivot really, really fast. And I think that, like, if you wait too long, you don't want Cooper to go through those growing pains, but, like, it's better to do that on the other hand, and you're actually, like, winning titles. Like, is Lively he's on a rookie deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, you still want to make sure that you're having flexibility. Like, I think of it in the terms of, like, what would Sam Presti do in this situation? No questions asked. Sam Presti's trading, like, all of them dudes and getting Cooper Flagg and getting the picks, right? Like, and he's the best GM in the league, right? So, that's what I think.
But you're assuming, like, Sam Presti's awesome at finding gems in the draft. Like, if you're going to do Sam Presti, then you got to be Sam Presti. Like, you got to go in that draft and hit a home run on most of your. Not he don't hit a home run on every pick, but, like, you understand what I'm saying.
Damn near, yeah. And still Barry Bonds with it.
And your development plan within the structure of your organization has to be almost equivalent to what Oklahoma City, and that's a lot to take in. That's a lot to assume when you're making that. But I hear where you guys are coming from 100%. And he might get expensive, and they might get expensive. But the inexpensive version of they're not winning until they're expensive anyway. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. No team is.
They're not winning until they're expensive. Like, him on his rookie deal, he's look at him at Duke. He is fantastic, but that's not, like, the essence of his game. You know what I mean? Like, Shea, that's the essence of his game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not the essence of
right. He's not going to be a 35% usage guy. Right. Like, he's not going to just come in and just say, like, just give me the ball in every position.
It's not what he does. Now, he'll in a complimentary role for a while. I mean, he could hit the NBA and be one of the best complimentary pieces within 6 months because he does everything really well.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure. All right, we got one more question.
Yeah, let's do this last one. This is from Carlos. Hello, real ones. Lots of murmurs lately about this being an active summer for trades. We all know Giannis and KD as the two big names that are pretty likely to get moved this summer. But who are some under-the-radar stars that people should keep an eye on as potentially being on the move as well? Thanks and love the show, Carlos.
You ready to get aggregated, Beck? Because, like, there's no way. There's no way we can, even if we just speculate, which is what we're doing right now. We're not even like.
Also, he used the phrase "keep an eye on," which might have been the phrasing that I used in February when something went off the rails due to no fault of my own.
It's all good. Our live show did numbers. Anybody on Boston's roster? Newsflash, guys. You know.
All right, listen. All right, let me just. I'm just going to run through this real quick. This is all completely speculative. Do not aggregate.
Please don't aggregate. And I'm the one
God.
that's the aggregation king. Like, I'm like, do it, but please don't, dude. You're putting us in a terrible.
No, there's a lot of like logical. Like we covered Julius Randle, right? Like he's like not a star at that level, but he's been All NBA a couple of times. Like the possibility of Julius Randle being on the move seems rather high. The Cavaliers, the bill's going to come due eventually. They have the same second apron pressures that the Wolves did before they moved Towns. There's already discussion or just speculation around the league, like, oh, do they have to move off of Darius Garland? You know, like, and there are plenty of teams that would love to have him. The Celtics breakup, we've already
Brown, maybe. I don't know.
I don't think Jalen Brown, but like Derek White or Drew Holiday, one of those two going seems almost certain. If the Nuggets really got desperate and or creative, Michael Porter Jr. is not a star, so Carlos's question was about stars, but like, could you get to the point where you entertained offers for Jamal Murray? Interesting to think about. We covered Anthony Davis. I think there's a case to make that they should trade Anthony Davis to Dallas. I think there's a very strong case that the Suns should trade Devin Booker, but they're not going to. But they should, and especially if they're trading Durant anyway, and they're going nowhere soon. And then, yeah, there's a team in Memphis that might have a guy, but I'm not talking about.
I don't, bro. I think we just said every name that's under the sun. Like, I don't think there's everybody is on the table.
That's today's NBA. So yes,
this is what it is, bro. You know, you got to pivot. I don't have anything other than that. Roger, do you have anything? There we go. That's been another edition of Real Ones. We have our Real Ones finals preview on Tuesday. Yeah, man. Good to see you guys. Talk soon. All the shits. Say it, Ra.
Nah, your world.
Oh, you're a hater. Yeah, dale.
Must be 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC. Opt-in required. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Refund issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.